A pleasant good morning to you, our viewers watching this morning. Welcome to another edition of the COVID-19 Response Report, this time for today, Friday, June 12th, 2020. My name is Jessie Leonce, and I'm joined in studio as usual every morning on a weekday by my colleague Carlton Cyril, here to bring you the latest updates with regard to our experience with COVID-19 here on island. Again, a special welcome to you watching live. We are live from the Information Command Center on NTN from the GIS studios. We do hope that you stick around for the duration of this morning's program. We have a lot of important updates to provide to you as our experience with COVID-19 evolves. Carlton?
Thanks so much, bonjour Jesse. Encore nous avons dit bienvenue ici à Headquarters COVID-19. Côté nous avons information développement qu'on y fait expressément là pour faire et puis COVID. Jeudi c'est vendredi le 12 juin et nous avons continué faire ça jeudi. Hier c'était un holiday qu'on a ici à nous vie moi quand chaque monde tenait en bon pause et puis là pour ces gens qui écoutent nous sur Facebook, ces gens qui écoutent nous sur radio, ces gens qui l'autre pays nous a dit ou en spécial bienvenue et nous va continuer supporter nous et suivre information et développement qui nous a baou ici à comme Jesse bien dit aujourd'hui nous dans chaque information pour disséminer et nous a continuer suivre nous supporter écouter guide et protocole nous a baou ici à Jess.
Thanks for that, Carlton. Just to continue with this morning, we have an update from the CMO, the desk of the CMO, Dr. Sharon Belmont-George, letting us know that, urging us not to become complacent. And this has been something that we have been reiterating for the duration of our coverage of COVID-19 happenings on island. Not to become complacent. We saw the national shutdown at the beginning of April, and still the threat of COVID-19 remains, not only in St. Lucia, but globally. And just to get right to the meat of the matter, we saw an application being made for Black Lives Matter rally here on island, and we will get into the outcome of that application being made to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. But first, a word from the CMO on an update as to where St. Lucia stands with regard to COVID-19. We go to the first clip.
On June 10, 2020, the Ministry of Health and Wellness received the results of the COVID-19 tests which were conducted this week. All of the 60 samples which returned were negative. To date, St. Lucia has recorded a total of 19 confirmed cases of COVID-19. 18 of those cases have fully recovered. The last case was a repatriated cruise national and was recorded on June 4, 2020. We have conducted a total of 1,264 tests to date.
And Dr. Sharon Belmont-George is also pleading to St. Lucians, to residents in St. Lucia, to not become complacent. The state of emergency, Carlton, is still on, as you know, and it will be on until the 30th of September. And there have been measures that have been put in place, and they continue. The expectation is that they continue to be adhered to during this time for the protection of our population from COVID-19. And we're hearing from Dr. Sharon Belmont-George that we ought not to be complacent at this time, thinking that perhaps the threat of COVID-19 has been lessened.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness, we caution St. Lucians not to become complacent as it relates to adhering to the physical distancing and the infection prevention and control measures. St. Lucians are asked to avoid participating in large social gatherings and to remain vigilant and continue taking the necessary precautions. By doing so, we can all play a significant part in protecting the lives of our families, friends, and the most vulnerable population. The Ministry of Health and Wellness, we remind the public that we anticipate new cases and therefore we must comply with the guidelines established in order to reduce any possible transmission of COVID-19. The support of every citizen is required in maintaining the recommended infection prevention and control and physical distancing measures.
The support of every citizen is required in maintaining the recommended infection prevention and control and physical distancing measures. St. Lucians being urged by the Chief Medical Officer from the Operations Command Center of our response to COVID-19 to not become complacent at this time. If ever there were a time where we needed to put up our ramps, put up our guards, it's at this time that we've now entered phase 4 of our COVID-19 response. The country has reopened its borders. Air travel is now permitted, and we need to be as vigilant as possible. We need to take every measure possible to ensure that we can stave off COVID-19. In any event, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is prepared, is anticipating new cases of COVID-19. It is the new normal. We need to find our way. We need to maneuver through this COVID-19 experience and be able to thrive in this time. You know, and the government of St. Lucia is trying to find its standing ground amid this all. And so anticipating new cases, yes, but being prepared to take every precaution necessary to avoid contracting COVID-19, having imported cases, community cases, all of that like. I just want to hand over to Carlton just to give a synopsis of the word coming from the desk of the Chief Medical Officer as of this morning in terms of us not becoming complacent to this COVID-19 situation.
En termes so much, Jesse, merci. Bonjour encore, qu'on nous continue à avoir information et développement, pour ça, information et développement ensemble. Là, il pour faire puis CMO, chef medical officier Saint-Lycée, Dr. Belma George. Là, il a parlé by Saint-Lycée, quand parmi bagaille était ni pour dire, c'est côté nous à présent là, il pour faire et puis COVID. Il dit pour date, il a reçu 60. Ça c'est 60 tests résultats qui ont conducté semaine ça et puis tout retourné négatif. Quoi ça c'est bonne nouvelle là. Et puis pour date cette lycée nous avons à peu près 19 monde confirmés qui testé positif pour COVID-19. 18 ans, c'est moun ça, j'ai recouvert 100%. Dernière, c'était une jeune fille, 33 ans. Il s'était parmi yon c'est moun qui retourné, repatrié, qui était qu'à travailler sous bateau. Il vient ici avec, présentement, il a pris traitement. Et puis, à part de ça, nous pouvons connaître pièce K. Conseiller moi dit, 60 tests vie semaine ça, toute vie est négative. Pour date, vini, dernier mois, nous teni qui testé positif, c'était le 4 juin. À présent, en tout, au cas où CMO dit nous, à peu près 1264 tests déjà faits pour connaître à présent. 1264 tests. Mais il y a les plus loin pour dire, et puis pour y conseiller 7 lycéens, il a dit, là il venu pour moun ka chaîne distance sociale, là il venu pour ça. Il c'est yon qui bien important pour empêcher vermine ça s'immerger. Qui a demandé 7 lycéens souple sous ça. À vous deux, eh bien, empêcher qu'on participer en pièce côté qui a une en chaimoun comblé. Il a dit, nous ni pour verser nous ni pour changer, nous ni pour changer ces bagages en place, parce que là nous fait ça, nous ca combattre et nous ca rabattre vermine quoi et nous ca sauver la vie famille nous, la vie nous et puis jeunes nous. À part de ça, si moi aller plus loin pour dire yo ca expecter qu'on nous ca ouvert place là. Kon bagay ka vie normal, nous ka expecter nous ka ouais vermine ka vie si meuje. Quand c'est pour ça il tellement important dat ki moun changer ou pas ça qu'on blanc dans place qui ni combien moun avec la pas ça pas yon raison pour oublier chaîne distance sociale là. Et d'ici nous tout continuer faire suivre protocole. Il y a un bagay qui bon ben nous avec ces protocoles là qu'on bien savent qu'on sanitize le monde chaîne distance sociale là qui tellement important nous kay ouais nous kay prouver wislam qui là les vini pour rabattre vermine ça dans Saint lycée quand akuya là pour nous tout pour des suivre protocole il y a bail avertissement pour dire quand nous kay ouvert changer là pour une pièce remède pièce vaccine pour Covid quoi yo ka mando souple changer nous ka anticiper la kay ni pli cas de Covid là mais si nous concept lycéens chaîne protocol ek suiv jid nous ka baisser puis nous ka rabatter zafé COVID-19 quoi zo pas ça hope tête messieurs dames distance sociale là c'est yon il vient répéter pour dire si pieds ça il ka dit sous sa chaîne ko hod c'est place ça qui ni quantité moun il y a un bon bagay ban nous tout bonnement quoi c'est parmi développement là pour faire et puis CMO nous toujours ka do côté nous protocole et information hod CMO Jesse.
Thanks for that, Carlton. Against this backdrop of the CMO, the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmar George, discouraging larger social gatherings at this time, I now want to read out a news release from the desk of the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Milton Daisy, and it is in response to a Black Lives Matter rally that was made, an application for Black Lives Matter rally. And we know all around the world there has been a great uproar in response to the injustices that have been meted out against persons of color. And we here in St. Lucia, as well as many other countries, stand in solidarity with this movement. And however, we have COVID-19 to contend with, and we also have the hurricane season to contend with as well. So, you know, this situation that is emerging globally in terms of Black Lives Matter and so on, it's added to the tensions that we are feeling. Certainly a situation which can be dealt with through our consciousness, you know, persons addressing this, changing their way of dealing with person to person. You know, it's not like COVID-19 where it's a natural situation, or the hurricane season where it's a natural occurrence. But I want to read from the news release from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force responding to this non-approval of the Black Lives Matter rally for the time requested, but also reaffirming their solidarity with the World on Black Lives Matter movement. And we are doing this morning because, you know, Carlton and I, we did notice on social media, you know, persons were questioning the position of the government of St. Lucia perhaps on the Black Lives Matter movement. But we want to make everything clear in terms of the documentation coming from the government offices in response to this. And I read the Acting Commissioner of Police of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, Mr. Milton Daisy, is standing in solidarity with St. Lucians and the rest of the world in light of the death of George Floyd and many other lives taken as a result of police brutality, discrimination, and any other forms of violence. Mr. Daisy encourages all police officers to undertake their duties diligently within the ambits of the law by respecting human rights, and recently communicated to the members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force via a video address to observe human rights and the use of force policy whilst carrying out their duties. On Wednesday, June 10th, 2020, an application was received from organizers of Black Lives Matter St. Lucia with the subject Black Lives Matter St. Lucia Rally, seeking permission to hold a rally at Constitution Park, Castries on Friday, June 12th, 2020, commencing at 9 a.m. for a duration of 3 hours. The application indicated that approximately 300 persons were expected to be in attendance. We have realized that permission may be granted for other activities such as religious services, etc., on a case-by-case basis under the strict protocols of the Chief Medical Officer. In consultation with the CMO, the decision to not approve the application at this time was taken based on the current law in relation to the Emergency Powers Disaster COVID-19 No. 8 Order 2020 on restrictions for mass crowd events and also factoring the health risk. The current law does not allow the Commissioner of Police to approve such an event at this time, scheduled for Friday, June 12, 2020. The Acting Commissioner of Police continues to have further consultation with the Chief Medical Officer on the stages in which St. Lucia will be permitted to hold mass crowd events, in a safe manner during COVID-19 pandemic, with the required amendments to the law to permit these events. Thus far, St. Lucia has been spared by the mass spread and deaths caused by COVID-19 compared to the rest of the world. The Acting Commissioner also has a responsibility to adhere to the laws related to safeguarding the health of residents with the primary guidance from the law and always in conjunction with the Chief Medical Officer. Once the laws can safely be relaxed, the Acting Commissioner will be in a position to legally approve such mass crowd events. In the interim, he urges St. Lucians to feel free to share their solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement via other mediums with the rest of the world until such time that we can publicly express our views safely through a mass crowd event. So there you have it, word from Mr. Milton Daisy, the Acting Commissioner of Police, in his response to the non-approval of the Black Lives Matter rally for the time requested, but also reaffirming their solidarity with the world on the Black Lives Matter movement. And I just want to add, the same way that we showed our solidarity and our support with everyone who was hurting due to the COVID-19 situation online, virtually, I encourage you all to do the same online, virtually. Show your support for the Black Lives Movement online, for persons who have been directly affected and for persons who are standing in solidarity, for those who are marching in other countries, protesting in other countries at this time. But for the safety of our population, it is encouraged by the authorities that we not go out physically in public spaces to gather, to protest, and to show that Black Lives Matter in a form of a rally or any other social or mass crowd gathering. I just want to go to the word from the Honorable Prime Minister. Keep in mind that his word came after it was indicated by the Chief Medical Officer as well as the Acting Commissioner of Police that mass crowd would not be permitted at this time. And just to quote the Prime Minister, this word coming from the desk of the Prime Minister, it has come to my attention, he stated this morning, that a permit application made yesterday, Wednesday, for a Black Lives Matter protest in St. Lucia was not approved by the relevant authorities. The Commissioner of Police, in consultation with the Ministry of Health, so it's from them. I have since had discussions with all sides who have clearly articulated their respective positions. And while I fully appreciate the concerns about security, health and safety, especially while we remain under a state of emergency situation, it is my view that St. Lucia must show solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. The disease that is racism, with all its ominous implications, must be resisted at every opportunity and by all of us. I have requested that all parties concerned pursue every possibility that would permit the Black Lives Matter activity to go on without contravening the established protocols. However, the final decision is the responsibility of the relevant authorities. From the moment the coronavirus was declared a life-threatening pandemic, we have at all times relied on and followed the guidance of the health and security authorities. Let us all acknowledge that their advice has thus far kept St. Lucia safe. That word coming from the Honorable Alan Chastney, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, following a word and an explanation from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force on why the Black Lives Matter rally was not approved, and the call by the CMO, Dr. Sharon Belmar-George, discouraging large social gatherings because COVID-19 continues to remain a threat here to the St. Lucian population. So please take note of these three releases, one coming from the CMO, one coming from the Acting Commissioner of Police, and the final coming from the Office of the Prime Minister in response to this Black Lives Matter situation. Carlton?
Merci tellement, Jessie. Nous avons dit merci pour vous qui suivre nous bon matin. Headquarters COVID-19, quand nous avons information développement là pour faire COVID, quand nous dit plus bonheur, CMO a nous conseil qui était avertissement pour dire distance sociale est tellement important et puis ça nous ni pour faire expressément quand nous avons vie parler à sous nous qu'a expecté pour plus cas de COVID parce que nous avons ouvert bonne et puis quoi les vini pour ça encore pour un chaide qui a suivre ça qui a fait à sur social media ça qui a fait l'autre pays juste ici ou qu'ils savent à présent tout partout yoni protest ça c'est pour nom ça jeune homme l'américain police tué George Floyd ou qu'ils changer police tué nom ça après des gars yo minoté qui tenu un genou à sous couille qui perd connaissance et puis il mort après ça en chaide ou avait nouvelle après ça kaiwe en chaque monde démonstration chaque côté avec monde qui demandé passe droit des gens yo adresser ça quoi ici nous dans situation sous pas ça là une application t'est faite nous ni nom qui en position commissioner ça c'est monsieur Milton Daisy qui a répondre parce que c'est lui qui en tête force là qui a dit yo debout puis Saint-Lucien qui comprendre that dat ki Saint-Lucie tout vle mouche dat ki yo duboutan solidarité le vini pour brutaliser ces gens noué jatou fait quoi yon la main police et il même ka dit li même dans yon adresse yo fait bay ces gens police Saint-Lucie ka dit yo fait assurer yo observer droit moun les hommes là où yo même ka arrêté ben yo ka fait affaires yo kon policy mais au cas ça yo application qui était faite pour moun organiser yon protest ici parmi ça yo qui Black Lives Matter les vini pour la vision noire il ka compter et puis la police commissioner dit quoi il tenait pour prendre en considération pour bailler permission pour ce monde faire ça mais yo paté ça fait parce que en bas loi nous avec état di soukwa ça pas permettre et encore changer ça les venir pour 6 mois dit nous pas ça point oui ça en tout il a dit il a encourager monde pour supporter ça ka dans l'autre manière mais pour actuellement bas état di soukwa nous avec loi nous il passe à fait nous t'en hord premier ministre aussi qui dit il comprendre raison c'est mon prendre décision qui c'est CMO et puis commissioner c'est parce que les vini pour situation nous pas ni monde encore et nous pas ça point risque pour monde trouver quoi yo ka contacter Covid quoi ça c'est développement qu'on a fait nous ka comprendre nous ka ba plus information les vini pour ça.
Thanks for that, Carlton. And just to remind you, the word coming from the CMO, Dr. Sharon Belmar-George, and the Acting Commissioner of Police giving an explanation for the non-approval of the Black Lives Matter rally. We have to discourage large social gatherings at this time, Carlton.
Definitely.
And this is because COVID-19 continues to be, it is an ever-present threat to our population. And these are the same individuals that we continue to rely on throughout the height of the initial onset of COVID-19. We clung to their every word, and we do hope that at this time, though it may not be convenient for certain individuals at this time, we understand the passions that are fueling this desire for a Black Lives Matter rally here in St. Lucia. It is completely understandable, but also what must be taken into consideration is this COVID-19 threat that we continue to be under. We need to continue to be vigilant and take every precaution. Another encouragement is that you show your support and your solidarity for the Black Lives Matter movement online, virtually, until we can do so on the ground. We are due for our first break for this morning. Do stay tuned. We have some more important updates COVID-19 wise. Stay tuned.
It's easy to become afraid during a disease outbreak, especially a pandemic. How can I catch it? Who already has it? How do I stay safe? How can I keep my family safe? Uncertainty can lead us to reject or to be afraid of people affected by COVID-19. It's normal that we feel worried. But sticking with the facts on how to prevent COVID-19 from spreading and what to do if you encounter symptoms is our best defense. Rejecting or fearing people can cause them to hide their symptoms. It discourages people from practicing preventive behaviors like wearing masks and physical distancing. It can even stop people from seeking healthcare. Ultimately, this means the disease is harder to diagnose, treat, and contain. So how can we overcome fear and stigma to help the fight against COVID-19? Words matter. Talk to and about people affected by the virus with respect. Spread the facts. Practice and share the recommendations endorsed by your health authorities. Be kind and look after each other. Check in on your family, friends, and neighbors. Offer support where you can. Have you seen social stigma happening in your community? How did you respond? Tell us in the comments below.
please. Better yet, use soap and water.
We must protect each other if we are to beat this corona.
Together let us win this war. Be a soldier for St. Lucia. Together let us win this war. Be a soldier, together we can beat this corona.
So you don't become the next case. Avoid touching your face. I'm sure you've been told so. Handshakes and hugging are up. No, no.
Advice is you the please. Cover your mouth and your nose if you cough or sneeze.
Practice social distancing and avoid large social gatherings.
Together let us win this war. Be a soldier for St. Lucia. Together let us win this war. St. Lucia, be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
For further information, please contact the hotline at 311 or the Bureau of Health Education at 468-5349.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. The weather is downcast, but we hope you are not, our viewers, wherever you're watching from. The weather is downcast here in St. Lucia, at least, but we hope you're doing well wherever you are. We have so many reasons to be grateful. St. Lucia is doing well, responding well to the COVID-19 crisis. We've made so many strides. And speaking of such, we have an important guest here in studio, Mr. Parker Ragnanan. He is the Chief Environmental Health Officer here to make a statement, a very important statement this morning. I hand over to you, Mr. Ragnanan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all. This morning we want to brief you on the amendments to the Public Health Act and regulations. The Public Health Act came into force in 1975, and thereafter the following regulations were enacted under this act. The Nuisance Regulation, SI 10 of 1978, the Offensive Trades Regulation, SI 11 of 1978, Communicable and Notifiable Disease Statutory Instrument, number 12 of 1978, Barbershop Regulations, SI 13 of 1978, Water Quality Control, SI 14 of 1978, Apartments, Guest Houses, Hotels, SI number 15 of 1978 and amended in 1983. Swimming Pools Regulation, SI 16 of 1978, Notifications of Births, SI 17 of 1978, Bakeries Regulation, SI 18 of 1978, Transportation of Human Remains, SI 19 of 1978, Barracks and Tenements, SI 20 of 1978, Disposable of Offensive Matter, SI 21 of 1978, Sewage and Disposable of Sewage and Liquid Industrial Waste Works, SI 22 of 1978, Slaughterhouse Regulation, SI 69 of 1980, the Food Regulation, SI 70 of 1980. Given this changing environment and increased demands, the Ministry of Health and Wellness have been actively pursuing the amendment of both the Public Health Act and regulations over the past 10 to 15 years. During that period, there were extensive consultation with a wide cross-sector of society and major stakeholders, which guided the preparation of the final document. These efforts were finally realized in July 2019 when the Public Health Act was amended and made provisions that include but not limited to the following areas: beauty and wellness center, spa, massage parlor, body art facility, prohibiting or restricting the smoke from tobacco or tobacco products in public places. In February 2020, amendments to all the regulations outlined above were enacted. The revised legislation made provision for greater enforcement capability for key public health issues that are relevant and current in the development of the country. Under ideal conditions, regulations should be reviewed and amended at least every 10 years to ensure they are relevant to a changing environment and they allow for adequate enforcement. However, neither the Public Health Act nor enabling regulations have had any substantial review and amendment over the past 40 plus years. During this extended period, there have been extensive changes to the developmental landscape of St. Lucia, resulting in major environmental impacts that adversely affects the health and well-being of the population. Also, St. Lucia has signed on to a number of international treaties, including the World Trade Organization, international health regulations, the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, the emergence of new infectious diseases over the years, such as H1N1 and Ebola, has placed increased burden in ensuring management measures are in place to control the spread of these diseases. Further, the demands being placed on the Ministry of Health continue to amass, and there is high expectation by the public that there will be adequate response and resolution to their needs. With regards to the nuisance and offensive and hazardous trade regulations, the Environmental Health Division have registered approximately 2,045 public health complaints over the past 5 years. The nature of the majority of these complaints lodged by the public have to do with the following: odor nuisance, wastewater disposal, solid waste disposal, air pollution, vectors including mosquito and rodent nuisances, animal rearing, pig pens and chicken coops, dog kennels, overhanging trees and vegetation, charcoal pit, mold growth, occupational health and safety, bed bug infestation, noise pollution, defective septic tanks, food handling, derelict vehicles, smoke pollution, excreta disposal, and dead animals. There has also been a significant increase in the number of trades which are categorized as offensive trades under the Public Health Act. The amendments are meant to address public health impacts of such trade in residential and highly populated areas. The public health impacts from many of these trades continue to create nuisances that adversely impact the health of citizens, including vulnerable individuals with pre-existing medical conditions. Moreover, the regulation seeks to create a balance where such trades can be carried out in a manner that will minimize the impact on public health, taking into consideration that there is no clear-cut zoning, as most areas contain mixed-use land development in St. Lucia. The spraying of vehicles, animal rearing, charcoal making, for example, in residential areas, where the operators do not have adequate facilities to contain the hazards emanating from their operation, continue to adversely affect the health of residents in these areas. This has resulted in the Ministry of Health being inundated with complaints. It is noteworthy that these activities have not only been the subject of many public health complaints, they have also proven to be extremely difficult to regulate and resolve. Therefore, the amendment has brought these activities under a legislative framework and allow for greater capability to enforce, thereby reducing the health impacts to employees and persons living in close proximity to these operations. It is clearly stated in the Offensive Trade Regulation of 1978, Section 3, that 1, a person shall not establish an offensive trade without first making application to the Public Health Board. An application shall be in writing stating 1, the name and address of the person responsible for carrying on this offensive trade, the nature of such trade, and the address of the proposed premises. The Public Health Board or the Board of Public Health, before issuing a license, shall cause the premise to be examined. Therefore, the amended Offensive and Hazardous Trade Regulations, SI 80 of 2020, now strengthens the above stated position.
Thank you for that statement, Mr. Parker Ragnanan, the Chief Environmental Health Officer. Do stay tuned. We're due for our next break. But when we come back, we speak to Mr. Ragnanan on the details of this Public Health Act amendment. Stay tuned.
As part of government's social stabilization plan to assist persons who have lost their means of earning due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the government of St. Lucia has implemented the Income Support Program, where non-contributors to the NIC shall receive a monthly payment of $500 for the next 3 months. Taxi drivers, jet ski operators, vendors, agro-processors, tour guides, hairdressers, barbers, small bar and restaurant operators, construction workers, and other sole traders who meet the criteria can apply using the Government of St. Lucia's website, www.govt.lc. Payments will be made directly via electronic transfer to the recipient's bank account. The Income Support Program, simple strides towards recovery.
It's easy to become afraid during a disease outbreak, especially a pandemic.
Information Command Center. We are speaking to Mr. Parker Ragnanan. He is the Chief Environmental Health Officer, speaking to us on the SI 80 of 2020 amendment to the Public Health Act. He just provided a statement to us this morning with regards to that, but I just want to get from him some of the outstanding aspects of this amendment and how it will affect the everyday lives of St. Lucians.
The amendment to the Offensive Trade Regulations of 1978 really brings into perspective what is happening in terms of the development of this country. And so we can imagine what has happened to the landscape of St. Lucia development-wise over the last 40 years. What we have seen is that St. Lucia do not have a clear land zoning policy. And therefore, in many instances, what we have is mixed-use developments in many of the communities. As a result, there needs to be some kind of balance to allow for the coexistence of the types of development within communities. Very often, we have had situations where you have had certain types of development in place. For example, an area may have been an agricultural area, and therefore you have agricultural practices or agricultural husbandry taking place in that locality. But over time, the use for that area changes from agriculture, becomes residential. And therefore what you have is residential developments starts in these areas. And very often what the outcome is that when people begin to live in in areas in close proximity to agricultural practices, especially animal husbandry, there becomes conflict. So we get complaints, you know, persons are not maintaining their pig pens or their chicken coops and such. What the amendments seek to do is seek to establish a policy, a regime where persons are licensed to conduct their business. When this is in place, it therefore means that if you have a duly authorized license to operate a certain category of business, and somebody comes and builds a house next to your business, then they have no leg to stand on, indicating that you're affecting them at this point.
Because you're
in time.
registered.
Because you're registered, you're working in conformity to some regulations, and not just registered, but also we recognize that with development, the conflicts are real. People are of the view, for example, that charcoal making is something that you do in the forest. However, what we have been saying is that it's getting closer and closer to where people live. And people complain to us all the time that they cannot open their windows at home, they cannot breathe properly, they have elderly parents with underlying medical conditions, respiratory problems and so forth, and they have no respite in that situation. They complain about hanging their clothes on lines. It smells like smoke. And we get numerous complaints from the making of charcoal. The whole intention is to bring it under certain regulation. It's not to stop people from making charcoal or producing coal. That is not the intention of the new regulations. As a matter of fact, Section 18 of the new regulations gives powers to the Public Health Board whereby they can exempt a business place, a particular category of businesses from the provisions of these regulations. So the intention of the regulation is not to prevent persons from engaging in certain activities, but rather to ensure that it is done in a sustainable manner and that persons can enjoy a certain level of comfort in the areas that they live, as well as, importantly, the employees in certain types of businesses needs to be protected based on the occupational hazards that are present in the workplace. That is why it's called offensive trade and hazardous trade. And this is very, very important because there are some types of activities that lend the persons who are employed in these facilities high exposure to hazards. And there needs to be systems in place to be able to abate the exposure to such hazards.
Okay. You mentioned agriculture and charcoal making. What other activities fall under this new amendment?
Under this new amendments, there are a host of other areas, and I would not go into all of them.
Outstanding ones, perhaps?
Yes. Some of the key ones would include pig farming. We have the charcoal making. We have the garages and auto repair shops. We have the area of printing houses. We also have areas such as barbecuing and such like. Okay. So there is a list that is available, including the new amendments from where it was in 1978.
Okay. At this point in time, with these new regulations, what would the applicants, where can they apply to get registered and to get permissions, exemptions, what have you?
So they need to apply to the Public Health Board, and the Environmental Health Department, the Division of Environmental Health, is really the executing arm of the Public Health Board. So they could come to the Department of Environmental Health to apply for the trade.
Okay. As a Chief Environmental Health Officer, can you speak to the significance of this enhancement to the Act in terms of persons now having to declare, their activities? What does it do for public health in St. Lucia overall in terms of us perhaps catching up to other countries at this time?
I think it's significant to ensure that public health issues are addressed. We've seen the type of impacts of trade, different types of trade on human health. Very often we are inundated, for example, with issues of noise, noise from manufacturing and manufacturing plants and this kind of thing. It's very difficult many times when you look at subjective issues of that nature. Mm-hmm. The other problem that you have is there are situations that over time would resolve itself. However, we need to understand that where we are at now, in terms of persons' awareness to their rights of living comfortable life, to their rights as citizens of this country, that they think that many times their human rights are being infringed. And very often they feel a sense of helplessness as to how do they deal with the situation. Many a times, the only method of dealing with such a situation is taking the matter to court. And this takes a long period of time before you can get resolution. So I think where we are now in the development of this country, we definitely need to deal with some of these matters because we are looking at improving the lives of our citizens, of the population of this country. And as part of doing that, we need to look at the issues that are affecting livelihoods, the things that are causing stress, undue stress to people, and be able to put them under certain control. And that is important.
Okay. And you have a partner with you this morning. Yes. So can you introduce yourself?
My name is Emerson Vitalis. I'm a Senior Environmental Health Officer with the Environmental Health Division.
Okay. Can you just give us an understanding of your role in surrounding this amendment and also how perhaps this will be rolled out in terms of the practicality of this amendment?
Well, again, as Mr. Ragnanan indicated, I mean, we have seen over the years in terms of the adverse effects some of those activities have been having on the population and also on the environment. And understanding the nature, the negative nature of those activities, we decide what can we do as a department? How can we ensure our population that we are looking after them? And hence, again, this regulation has been there from 1978, but we recognize time has been changing and we need to do something. We need to be able to show more relevance in this time. Activities has changed also. So the gambit of activities which it had during that time has increased, and hence we recognize that there is need to amend this legislation. And in doing that, we looked at the other areas which have come up quite a bit often in the last few years. Mm-hmm. And in doing that, we have decided we're going to add these ones with the charcoal making, the garages, the furniture spraying, and hence the reason why we developed this to enable, again, our population to have a better lifestyle, to be healthier. But not only that, also the environment. Because we think about the population and the health impact. What about the environment, the sustainability of the environment? So this is what really drew and allowed us to coin that, that piece of legislation or amend it. Okay. And, moving forward, again, what we want to do is we want the public to embrace and understand that it is not a negative impact we're trying to bring forward. It's not charges, it's not licensing fee, but we're looking after the best interests in terms of regulating the trades which are happening.
Understood. Mr. Ragnanan spoke to it a bit, but if you could just go deeper, give us an understanding of what was happening on the ground, in the field, the experiences that your office was having, which in part prompted this legislation, individuals, and we have all as St. Lucians, Carlton Hood, perhaps somebody's making calls and it's stinking up the clothes on the line and so on. Can you speak to how real was this?
Very real, very real. Our office would be inundated with calls, complaints, which we call it nuisances from the public. And I could say within a year, maybe 100 and something calls, 100 plus calls from the public, indicating of a charcoal pit in my neighborhood, indicating of a spraying of cars in my neighborhood, indicating my daughter, my child is sick, and this is impacting, indicating I can't stay in my balcony to enjoy my $300,000 house. You understand what I'm saying? So the calls were coming, and we're not looking at the aesthetics part of it, but in terms of the public health. And these calls would come in, I said, almost daily. And the officers going out there, the challenge was with them in terms of how do we regulate that? How do we deal with that? How do where do I turn to? Do I have a piece of legislation which could say, yes, I could stop, or I not stop, but can I curb this activity? How do we endorse a livelihood against somebody's well-being? It's a fine balance. So again, it has been difficult for the officers on the ground. But what this legislation does, it allows us that latitude sort of to be able to regulate and to say, well, I'm applying for this trade. I could guide you better and say, well, we can't have it here. These are the parameters you need to follow to engage in that trade. But it has been a tough battle for us. Nonetheless, we went through it. We tried to deal with it amicably as best as we can as a department. Again, trying to ensure both persons enjoyed got the benefit of what they were doing. The charcoal maker still was able to make his charcoal. The person in the house, the health was not impacted. So we had to do a lot of compromising in situations. There were times when we just had to basically say, well, we can't have this in this location because it's a residential area. But it has been a challenge, and I'm thinking, with this new piece of legislation, and once the public understands what we are going to do, what we are about, they don't deem it as negative as it is, but see it as something which is going to employ them, going to help them, have a better standard of living and embrace it.
So it is empowering your office. It is empowering those who've been previously affected, and it's empowering those who are running these establishments, charcoal making, garage. Can you speak to these individuals who are trying to have a livelihood through these offensive and hazardous occupations? Speak to how it will empower them.
At the end of the day, and as Mr. Ragnanan rightfully said, within those trades, we need to recognize a lot of them have been happening haphazardly. In terms of the standards are not being met, even within the trade itself, and the occupational health and safety aspect of it, even to them, it was really, negative to them. And we could look at, case in points, our garages around. We see these guys alongside the road spraying the cars, and there's no safety equipment. The garages itself is not properly built. And at the end of the day, if you can be regulated, regulation comes with standards. Standards brings about a certain level of operations which would enhance what they're doing. So it allows them to be safer first and foremost in terms of having the appropriate gears. It allows the facility to be properly designed, that it doesn't impact. It protects against legislative actions. Because again, you may have an instance where it may go to a civil matter, but if you are regulated and you have been condoned to do this activity, you're operating within the parameters of the law. You're also operating from a perspective which is beneficial to you from the health aspect of it. You're not doing anything detrimental to the environment. So it empowers them in terms of that aspect of things.
Okay, I now hand over to Carlton to engage perhaps any questions on your end. In English or Creole?
Definitely. Encore cette liste nous a dit bienvenue à ce programme dans Bon Matin vendredi le 12 juin. Qu'on peut-être Jaoué l'a venu pour nous ici dans un studio, nous ni chef officier environnement bureau santé M. Ragnanan, et puis il y a un pli expérience officier l'a venu pour bureau environnement santé monsieur Vitalis. Et encore là dans Chai Palais à son Chai ça qui a fait un parlement l'a venu pour législation et puis amendement. Mais parmi ça qui est plus chaud qu'on Chai moun qui savent c'est l'a venu pour cher bon. Mais ça qui bien intéressant pas dit nous de coûter ou qui de coûter ça qui a fait ici à présent ou qui savent en bas amendement ça ni plaisir en bas acclamer plusieurs amendements qui fait et en parmi eux pas cochon, parmi yo chèvron, parmi yo côté garage, parmi yo côté moun ka fait meb et puis yo ka action meb lan lay vini pour yo ka mette petit en les meb lan parmi côté moun ka wete côté moun ka outi viande et puis bagay tout ça qui vient en considération. Mais qu'on nous bien savent, moun qui mettent attention, yo ça fait nouvelle et puis. Mais il est bien intéressant pour ça. Bien dans ces bagages là, monsieur Ragnanan dit, c'est l'invini pour depuis temps législation ça en place. L'année 1978. Ça c'est plus passé 40 l'année qui passé. Quand sous ça quand il est Saint-Lucie 40 l'année qui passe au kay comprendre ça hier moun te ça fait bagay vaiti vai la patine que te chimé la patine que te kay la patine que te moun quand on c'est différentes professions ça nous ka parler dia à présent according pour monsieur Ragnanan ou kay comprendre pour qui ça législation ka venir et tout monde l'air nous mais moi ni ka ba opportun dans un power sol qui manière ça ka fait là et là examiner ça y est à présent autant monsieur Vitalis ka dit officieux ka jeune tellement monde ka appelé yo ka dit yo mi moi acide leg ma ça même pour inspiration ma ça inspiré parce que tel monde dans côté leg mi il ka mette petit en les c'est mes blanc il fait avec c'est dans kay moi ka venir mi ça gado moi n'a pas cochon tout pour moi ma ça même manger l'ordre à tout en kay moi quand tout ka comprendre mi ça ka oti cochon là mi ça ni garage li bochime il pas ni en côté il pas dans caille mais y a ni bochi mais ka ranger machine ka petit machine il pas même ni équipement sont pas mi bagay qui a discuter c'est les vini pour qui ça qui fait après amendement ka dit si on ni pour mettre un pack cochon là si on ni pour rôti manger là pour le cochon si on ni pour rôti si on ni pour faire charbon si on ni pour faire pièce sans ces bagay ça si c'est yon moun ka petit même ni caille mais bon côté mi c'est ça on est pour faire application quand laisse ça nous a dit lan tel caille ou peut pas faire ça et bien laisse ça nous a dit ou besoin primaire caille ou peut pas faire ça quoi massa monsieur Ragnanan anik moi nik ha dit en manière moi comprendre et manière moi quoi c'est vous n'a comprendre en coûte sous ça nik dit nous et ben sous quoi dans morceau parole ou même si moi matien et puis anik dit nous qu'on département qui ça ou quoi amendement qui ça moun ni pour comprendre di parole ou même qui ça moun ni pour prendre tout ça nous a dit là.
Merci. Amendement nous fait pour législation c'est un amendement pour protéger santé Saint-Lucien. Aussi pour protéger ces moun qui travaillent dans ces différents services là. C'est important. Parce que ça nous a ouais c'est un chaque différents activité qu'a point court et c'est même si on a travaillé dans pas ni assez équipement pour protéger corps pour protéger santé yo délai nous ka ouais that c'est facilité qui en place là il pas assez pour empêcher à dans ces bail là qu'a fait là affecter monde qui va rester tout près yo. So, dès le ça qu'a fait c'est sous qu'a spray machine on prend en place qui fermé. So laisse ça peintia lors des peintis avec by fume peinti pas affecter l'autre monde. Mais dès là ça qu'a ouais c'est il pas ni ça, il pas ni pièce côté pour ça spray mais il qu'a spray. Avec la nan kay l'autre bois. Monde ka complainer that que yo pas ça rester en kay yo pas ça enjoy qui place là yo ada yo pas ça même inviter moun la kay yo so toutes ces bails ça ka fait plus problème loi c'est pour aider tout le monde moun qui ka fait business là aussi l'autre monde c'est pour ça loi en place so that qui bail qui fait en weg because c'est important pour l'année weg pour bail fait bien so c'est ça amendement qu'a fait qu'on nous a dit en chaque c'est là nous pas la boîte là c'est 900 lois plus passé 40 l'année qui passé et nous avons développement qui continue faire en cette ici et nous tous ne pour travailler en manière pour nous savoir avec yon a l'autre si pas ça nous avons un problème et nous avons en place côté moun ka aller l'audience moun ka commencer barbier ka juste vle go bien que l'on a l'autre parce que yo ka quoi ou ka affecter moi ou pas le faire rien pour faire moi vivre plus confortable yo ka juste tourner l'elmi pour yon a lot associé bay ça.
Eh bien, merci tellement, M. Ragnanan. Léa a approché en l'air, mais moi, je comprends ça hier. Amendement, pas seulement pour protéger, pour parler contre le monde qui ni business, mais il a pour ces gens business là aussi. Parce que, comme M. Ragnanan bien dit, juste imaginez, si on prend une licence, ou quand il pour mettre des bagages en place, ou quand il pour ni en côté qui y a déjà approuvé, ou quand il pour ni équipement qui a approuvé, ou pas ça mettre un pack cochon en parmi moun lors des cochons ça qui ou supposé faire pour prendre pack cochon ou supposé ni en place c'est que vous oui et ben non quand c'est pour ni ou qui ni pas cochon et puis ni moun qui a été l'autre bord quand nous ka comprendre aller tous les deux façades juste là il vient pour Porsche il affecté Porsche parce que si yon moun mène clame c'est porter plainte contre dans l'audience dans un acte civil il peut gagner ou peut ni pour payer moun nan peut dou faire malade par expirer petit en les machines quand veille de manière ça nous pas quoi nous a mis clarté à sous ça là il vient pour amendement échanger c'est pas là nous parler d'amendement chaque bagaille trouver koyo affecté en bail c'est pas simplement chèvre mais nous ka dit l'autre bagaille qu'on côté moun ka spray machine côté moun n'est pas cochon côté moun ka outil manger cochon bagaille là ni moun ka ouité qui bien important pour ça législation ça pipé 40 l'année quoi nous ka bien ouais nous ka développer et puis développement chay ces bagaille ça kay vini Jesse.
Thanks for that, Carlton. Any final words as we wrap up? Time is against us.
Yes,
Mr.
so
Ragnanan.
we just want to appeal to everyone that the intention of these amendments to regulation is to seek to improve the quality of life of all citizens of St. Lucia. It has nothing to do about targeting specific agencies. And I just want to say that the offensive and hazardous trade regulation amendment is just one such amendment. There have been several other pieces of regulations amended under the Public Health Act. For example, now that we are looking at new diseases, I think in 2014 there was major scare of Ebola coming in. And the question is, did the laws provide for the measures that one had to put in place to deal with the response to Ebola? We're seeing it now with COVID-19, and there are things that measures that are implemented now that is not legislated, but under the emergency powers they can be implemented. So for example, there's no piece of legislation in St. Lucia that says about the 6 feet distancing, but that is important. So hence all of these form part of the Public Health Act, these regulations. It allows for issues of quarantining persons, and it also gives not just a health officer but the police powers and so forth. So we all need to continue to work together for a better St. Lucia and ensure that we can enjoy our personal space, and we can enjoy the country, and we can live in harmony with one another, and there can be sustainable development of the country.
Thank you very much for that. Any final words on your end?
What I want to say to the public is let us embrace the new regulations from the backdrop of what it is intended to do, to protect livelihoods and also to protect the environment. We want a sustainable environment to be able to enjoy our livelihoods, and this is what the legislation does. It is not coined or drafted to create any adverse impacts, but it is coined and drafted to create a better standard of living for all St. Lucians. And I want us to understand that is from the backdrop of why it was created. Understand what it is, let us not criticize it, understand what it aims to do, and embrace it, because it's going to serve the entire population and also the country. That's it.
Thank you very much for that. And on that note, I encourage you to take a look at SI Statutory Instrument 80 of 2020, speaking on the regulations for offensive and hazardous trade. Am I correct?
That's
wonderful. Thank you so much, officials from the Environmental Health Department, speaking to us on the Public Health Act amendment. This is all the time we have for now, unfortunately so, but before we go, I just want to give an important update coming from the Department of Health and Wellness. Works under the Smart Health Facilities Project. The Labrie Wellness Center has been closed for retrofitting works from September 2nd, 2019 under the Smart Health Facilities Project, aimed towards safer, greener and more sustainable facilities. The works are now complete and the center will reopen for services to the public effective June 15th. 15th, 2020. The Ministry of Health and Wellness apologizes for the delay due to the COVID-19 pandemic and thanks residents and clients for their patience during the project. As of June 12, 2020, the Rich for Wellness Center will be closed for retrofitting under the Smart Health Facilities project. As a result, health services will be relocated to an alternate location in a building at the Larishus-Dennery Junction. The retrofitting works are expected to last approximately 3 months. The scope of works include repairs and retrofitting to make the facilities more energy efficient and adaptable to the effects of climate change. Effective June 22, 2020, all health services will be available at the new location. Clients are also free to access services at any of the other wellness centers during this time. The Ministry of Health and Wellness therefore seeks the support of the general public, especially those from the communities that are affected during this time. For more information, feel free to contact the Ministry of Health and Wellness at 468-5321. Well, that concludes this morning's COVID-19 response report. We do continue this morning with an additional presentation that will be made. We do hope you could stay tuned for that coming up in just a moment.
As part of government's social stabilization plan to assist persons who have lost their means of earning due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the government of St. Lucia has implemented the Income Support Program, where non-contributors to the NIC shall receive a monthly payment of $500 for the next 3 months. Taxi drivers, jet ski operators, vendors, agro-processors, tour guides, hairdressers, barbers, small bar and restaurant operators, construction workers, and other sole traders who meet the criteria can apply using the Government of St. Lucia's website, www.govt.lc. Payments will be made directly via electronic transfer to the recipient's bank account. The Income Support Program, simple strides towards recovery.
And in the latest news, the coronavirus, or COVID-19, continues to be a health emergency across the world. Caribbean people are concerned.
Everybody know about COVID-19. COVID-19. Keep socially distance and your proper hygiene. Wash your hands then clean. Don't discriminate, cause it might be. It very well could be. Somebody will look like you or look like me. Listening, listening. We're in this together. We all got to work with each other. Look out for our friends and our neighbor. And if you feel sick, don't be afraid to call the doctor.
Red Cross volunteers from across the Caribbean, working hard to fight discrimination. So if a person should feel ill, then they will contact the authorities without hesitation.
The most vulnerable are the elderly, but the truth is it can infect anybody. So what we need is solidarity. Everyone helping everyone like a family. So
this is a message to the nation. Make sure you seek out the right information from official sources like the Ministry of Health, Red Cross, and the World Health Organization.
Everybody know about COVID-19. COVID-19. Keep socially distance and your proper hygiene. Wash your hands then clean. Don't discriminate, cause it might be. It very well could be. Somebody will look like you or look like me. Listening, listening.
People around the world facing this pandemic. Coronavirus have the whole world a panic. Now is not the time to be fearful, but to be careful, supportive and empathetic.
This is the state of the society. Some people full of fear and anxiety. Yo, a lot of fake news in the community. But what we need now is more love and unity. So
this is a message to the nation. Make sure you seek out the right information from official sources like the Ministry of Health, Red Cross, and the World Health Organization.
Everybody know about COVID-19. COVID-19. Keep socially distance and your proper hygiene. Wash your hands then clean. Don't discriminate, cause it might be. It very well could be. Somebody will look like you or look like me. Listening, listening. We're in this together. We all got to work with each other. Look out for our friends and our neighbor. And if you feel sick, don't be afraid to call the doctor.
sanitizer. Better yet, use soap and water.
We must protect each other if we are to beat this corona.
Together let us win this war. Be a soldier for St. Lucia. Together let us win this war. Be a soldier, together we can beat this corona.
So you don't become the next case. Avoid touching your face. I'm sure you've been told so. Handshakes and hugging are no, no.
Advice give you the please. Cover your mouth and your nose if you cough or sneeze.
Practice social distancing and avoid large social gatherings.
Together let us win this war. Be a soldier for St. Lucia. Together let us win this war. St. Lucia, be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
For further information, please contact the hotline at 311 or the Bureau of Health Education at 468-5349.
It's easy to become afraid during a disease outbreak, especially a pandemic. How can I catch it? Who already has it? How do I stay safe? How can I keep my family safe? Uncertainty can lead us to reject or to be afraid of people affected by COVID-19. It's normal that we feel worried. But sticking with the facts on how to prevent COVID-19 from spreading and what to do if you encounter symptoms is our best defense. Rejecting or fearing people can cause them to hide their symptoms. It discourages people from practicing preventive behaviors like wearing masks and physical distancing. It can even stop people from seeking health care. Ultimately, this means the disease is harder to diagnose, treat, and contain. So how can we overcome fear and stigma to help the fight against COVID-19? Words matter. Talk to and about people affected by the virus with respect. Spread the facts. Practice and share the recommendations endorsed by your health authorities. Be kind and look after each other. Check in on your family, friends, and neighbors. Offer support where you can. Have you seen social stigma happening in your community? How did you respond? Tell us in the comments below.
Thanks for working on the front line. Don't know how security who work day and night, food suppliers and pharmacies who medicate the strong, so many more to add to the list who responded to the call. There's no greater love than God's love in this land. Yes, He's watching us from up above. He's your biggest fan. Thanks for working on the front line. You bring us home.
Thanks for working on the front line. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Just getting word from my producers, we had to make space for two very important presentations this morning to the Health and Wellness Ministry today. We have H&L Environmental Company as well as St. Louis Metal and Plastic making presentations today. H&L Environmental Company, they're making a presentation of PPEs, personal protective equipment, of masks, gloves and gowns this morning to the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And accepting that is the Minister herself, the Honorable Mary Isaac, this morning. I now hand over to the presenter to make the presentation.
On behalf of H&L Environmental, we want you to receive these gloves and masks, as well as the gowns that were donated, and that is coming from the pledge of the telethon on the day in question.
Thank you very much.
And also from St. Louis Metal and Plastic, who pledged very early in the game. We want you to receive a check of $10,000 that will also go towards personal protective equipment.
Wow, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Yes, good morning, everybody. As you can see, this is a great indication that, you know, civil society, our corporate sponsors have come aboard and joined to assist us in protecting the lives and welfare of the people of St. Lucia. This is a true indication this morning that we are not out of the woods as yet, as you can see. And our corporate St. Lucia understand what it is that is necessary to protect our population. While we have quite a few people who are behaving as though, you know, this is all over, this is a true reminder that it is not over. We continue to get assistance from corporate society, from organizations such as H&L, from St. Louis Metal and Plastics. Though some of these organizations are very small, they still see the need to contribute to the welfare of their country. So on behalf of the government, people of St. Lucia, the Ministry of Health, the frontline workers, I want to say a heartfelt thank you for this donation. It will go a long way in protecting our frontline workers, as well as everybody else that receive, you know, some of these masks and some of these PPEs. So it is, you know, really a great pleasure for me this morning to be here to accept this wonderful donation. As you know, we are living in the time of COVID. We cannot let our guard down, and it is always very welcome when we get additional assistance, and it goes a long way in terms of protecting our people. I want to thank these agencies immensely, and I want to say to them to continue to encourage our St. Lucian people to keep the protocols, to social distance, and wear their masks as much as possible so that we can continue to protect our own lives and that of our fellow men. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The Honorable Mary Isaac accepting donations being made in this COVID-19 effort from H&L Environmental Company, personal protective equipment, and the St. Louis Metal and Plastic Company, $10,000. And during George's, as she rightly mentioned, they were very early in their pledges. Even ahead of the telethon, they did make that pledge toward the effort. Just want to give you an update on the monies so far that have been received from the telethon as well as the GoFundMe page. 1.9 million, that is $1,925,000 that was pledged during the telethon has been collected so far. And in terms of the GoFundMe page, approximately $1,238.60 has so far been collected. The total having been collected is $2,121,238.60, and that is contributions from both civilians, the population, well-wishers of St. Lucia, as well as corporate St. Lucia, stepping up to ensure that we give COVID-19 the best fight that we can give it. Carlton?
Merci tellement, Jessie. Quand nous continuons ici, nous allons sous-observer ça qui a pris un coup à présent. Nous allons échanger bonnet, nous avons trouvé qu'on nous trouvé qu'on nous agir et puis combattre les affaires Covid là. Nous avons un téléphone ici, quand parmi les choses qui fait un chaque monde pour mettre pour assister en une manière dans l'autre. Bon matin, nous allons continuer. Un chaque c'est compagnie, c'est petit business qui a assisté. Bon matin, nous avons sénateur honorable Mary Isaac qui était oui souvent marchandises ça nous la sec et puis PPE qu'on nous a créé équipement pour ces gens qui a combattu ces gens qui a trouvé quoi qui a agi et puis c'est gens qui est bien affecté. H&L Environment Company est sorti Saint-Lucie, yo bay 10 boîtes yo bay mask, glove et puis coverall qu'on nous a créé yo 10 boîtes en chaque. Yo ka remercier yo pour ça et puis nous ni Saint-Lou métal et plastique c'est moun ça fait en donation là $10,000 yo bay check ça jodia pour date nous ka pli à peu près $2 millions ça ka prend en considération l'argent GoFundMe qui était à peu près $70,000 c'est l'argent ça a entré quand ka according pour information et puis ministre ka dit ou ka jik toujours moun ka vini avec moun copain qui ça qui a fait les vini pour Covid nous ka combattre toujours la pokoni pièce Jerison et ou ka tan avertissement ka vini toujours quoi nous ka tirer chapeau et nous ka dit merci nous ka travailler ici et puis management et puis gouvernement cette ici à sous ces moun nan qui ka nécessaire pour continuer bailler ces contributions ça qu'on yoté ha pour mettre merci tellement Jesse.
Thanks for that, Carlton. Again, we'd like to thank on behalf of the government and people of St. Lucia, St. Lou Metal and Plastic, as well as H&L Environmental Company for their contributions toward the COVID-19 response effort. That's all the time we have for now. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the COVID-19 response report for today, Friday, the 12th of June, 2020. Do stay tuned for more NTN programming. Goodbye.